Hello and welcome everyone to GridVision. We sure are happy to be here this lovely Sunday afternoon as we're going to be tackling some Global Racing Truck Series. And as you all know, this is going to be some exciting racing. Every week we come to this series, these guys put on quite a show. We have always strategy, side-by-side, three-wide racing every single week. I mean, we never are disappointed, and I think it's going to be the same way here as we are at Michigan International Speedway for 100 laps. At this 2-mile track, it's going to be nothing but packed racing. My name, of course, is Brian Britt. I have Austin Edstrom as my co-commentator. Austin Derbyshire is, of course, down behind the cameras. Looks like track temperature 105 degrees right now around this 2-mile racetrack. How you feeling, Austin? What are you thinking?
I think we're going to have a good show. I think it's going to be kind of difficult to pass, especially after a few laps after the restart. It seems like these trucks just don't really have a lot of power and a lot of giddy up going down the straight, so it's going to be a big-time momentum race. Really want to keep as much speed through the middle of the corner as you can, so I'm looking forward to seeing who can do that best here today.
100%. Let's actually take a quick moment to look at the schedule of the upcoming week, or should I say actually the current week, because a lot of people don't realize that Sunday is actually the first day of the week.
How many weeks are you going to say that?
Have I said that before?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Alrighty, well, Tuesday, of course, Champion Power Equipment Truck Series. They're going to be at Kansas. Love that track, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, the following day, Thunderclap TLC, presented by TLC, is going to be at Darlington, my home track, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Can't wait for that one for sure. Of course, Thursday, we don't have anything going on. Friday, we're going to be back in action at NIS. And I'll tell you, last Friday, or this past NIS race was insane. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, Sunday, Global Racing Truck Series is going to be back in action as well at IRP. So track racing at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So looks like we have about 40 seconds left in qualifying at the moment. David Holsey is at the top of the board. Let's take a look at the points. Chad McGinley at the top of the points pylon at the moment. Of course, Stephen Gibson's in second place. Dale Brooks is in third. Ricky Hudgens fourth. Michael Hayes is in fifth. Steve Gerber, 6th place. Mark Royce is in 7th. David Holsey, 8th. Of course, I do believe he was last week's winner. 9th place, Jeff Weimer, and 10th, Bobby Mantle. So those are the top 10 in points right now. And I'll tell you what, 5 aces have been hot here lately. Unfortunately, though, Austin McGill and I do believe Steve Gerber, as well as Matthew Escalara, all 3 missing this race here today. And I think that's a big deal, considering this is a track that you really want to have strength in numbers. I mean, this is going to be a super speedway race for the first 20 laps, I definitely believe. It looks like we do have the grid set for today's action. Of course, David Holsey qualifies on the pole with a 39.680. Of course, Jeff Weimer, good qualifying effort for him in second place. Dale Brooks is qualified third. Bobby Mantle in fourth. Stephen Knight qualifies sixth, or should I say fifth. 6th place Stephen Hayes. 7th place Mark Royce. 8th DJ Honeycutt. 9th Ricky Hudgens, and 10th Michael Hay.
11th place we've got Daniel Ott. 12th Kenny Heat. 13th EJ Luna. 14th Justin LeBlanc. 15th Don Blazier. 16th Joshua Slade, and rounding up the back of the field in 17th Ron Holmes.
Not as many guys tonight. I'm kind of shocked to see that. You know, we're missing Michael Lester. I hope everything's okay with Michael Lester. I haven't seen him in quite a few weeks, which is interesting considering this is actually one of the, I think Michael's really, the tracks that I think he would be really good at. So unfortunate, but we're still, I mean, less numbers at a track like Michigan is probably not a bad thing, considering this is going to be a crazy race. I mean, these guys are going to be side by side, 3 wide. I mean, it's going to be, could even go 4 wide. I mean, it's definitely very, very possible. For the most part, I did a little bit of practicing in this truck yesterday in a C open practice, and it was essentially just flat out. You would just literally press the gas and not lift for 15, 20 laps.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to watch. I don't know. I feel like with the field being a little smaller, we could end up seeing it get spread out after a while. I think it's going to be kind of setup dependent. Who's got the best setup is really going to kind of float to the front. I think you see that on the bigger tracks, especially whenever you have to lift the least amount at any other compared to any other track. I'm interested, like you said, we've missing a couple big names. Even our points leader, Chad McGinley, he is not loaded into the session, so we're missing our points leader. We're missing a couple others. You mentioned, I believe, Michael Lester. I think I read that his PC's broken, or he's got big PC issues. So kind of unfortunate that we're missing a couple people here today. But I think the guys that are here are still going to put on a great show. David Holsey finishing or continuing his dominance from last week. How he made that great strategy call with a pole here today. So kind of interesting to see him follow up his good performance from last week.
Yeah, that was crazy last week. How those guys really had this Don Glazier, of course, heartbreaking that he did not get the finish I think he deserved last week as well. But yeah, that was a crazy call to kind of save that set of tires. It looked crazy, it didn't look very smart when we saw it earlier in the race, but when it actually played out, it was like, wow, this is a stroke of genius. But I don't know if that's going to be really something we're going to see here tonight. Of course, I do believe we have 4 sets of tires down in the pits, and I think that's enough. So we'll have about 20 laps per set of tires. So that doesn't sound like it's going to be too bad. I think these guys are. I don't think strategy is going to really be the big deal. Of course, fuel is about 35 laps from what I've heard. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. It just depends on really how green it goes. Then I think the strategy is going to come into play here. As of course we wait for the pace car to dip down pit road. David Holsey going to be leading us there. Very good qualifying attempt from Jeff Weimer. I expect the Dirty South guys are going to be really good here tonight. Weimer, of course, starting in that third position, or should I say second position. Dale Brooks, looks like I'm trying to see him. It looks like he's in a different.
He got an EOL.
No, oh, okay. And there is the green flag for the first time. David Holsey up through the gears, and no one really able to separate on this start here. Get prepared to enter turn 1 fairly calm, as it looks like Holsey actually is going to move up to the top a little bit, and he is going to lead into turn number 1. Big, I think, with restart from Stephen Knight. He's going to draft up to the back of the 57. This is an opportunity for this race. I think a lot of drivers have a big opportunity. Oh, big problems already. Blazier turned into the outside wall. Yellow is out. DJ Honeycutt is spinning on the apron right now. That is probably going to be a race ender for Don Blazier, though. He just got put right into the fence.
You hate to see that on lap 1 of such a long race. He doesn't have too much damage. It looks like it's mostly right front. If he can get that all fixed up, he might be all right. But you hate to see something like that happen right off the bat. I mean, it's early.
Yeah,
Justin LeBlanc just came down, and whoever that was on the outside kind of came down late too to kind of kill them both off. But yeah, there was plenty of room there for LeBlanc to be in the middle, but maybe he was just trying to give the guy on the outside too much room. It's early on in the race. You just want to kind of give everybody room as you can. So I could see maybe he was just trying to give the outside guy room, but I really think he gave him too much. I think that's DJ
Maybe he just got a little loose too. I mean, he could have easily just got a little bit loose in the middle there, but yeah, definitely I'd put that. I think Justin LeBlanc definitely came down on Blazier there, and I mean, I'm sure it wasn't anything intentionally at all. And LeBlanc usually a very good heads-up aware driver, but yeah, unfortunately that definitely is going to cost on Blazier. But one thing about it, a good thing that Blazier didn't get completely annihilated, and with the new damage model, I've been noticing that if you get all of it fixed, if you're not lacking any RPM most of the time, you can actually get the truck back to competitive levels. Like, it used to be not that case. Usually when you get damage on a truck, you're done. Like, that's it pretty much. But now it's gotten to where you can actually fix it and somewhat come back. So hopefully that's going to be the case there for Don.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. I think they'll be all right. I didn't see anybody take any massive nose hits. I think Don maybe took the biggest, but probably not enough to knock any RPM out of that thing. But especially at a big draft track like this, if you can get all the damage fixed that you can, you can just kind of sit in the draft and it'll tug you along, and you won't really have any major effects. It's just kind of whenever the tires get worn out, maybe you can start noticing some more issues with the truck, but I don't think it's going to be anything too aggressively bad. So I think those guys could definitely find their way back up to the front here later.
Yeah, Definitely could very well. We'll have to wait and see how that all plays out. Of course, definitely no fast repairs in this series. So if you get enough damage to blow the engine, that's going to be something you don't want to see. So hopefully no one has that. But I mean, this is a very fast track. These guys are going to be hitting about 190 mile an hour in the straightaways. And if you have contact when you're going that fast, a lot of times that is that could pretty much be it for you. Now, I think they were just getting up to speed when that contact actually happened. They were coming out of the corner, so their speeds were not as high as they could have been in that situation. Blazer, I think, had hit the wall at 190. I don't think he would have been able to drive to his pit box.
That's a great point. I didn't really think about that, but yeah, they definitely were not at full speed coming out of the corner or coming out of turn 2 on the first lap. I mean, I'm sure they were full throttle all the way around 1 and 2, coming from a less mile an hour. They weren't able to get to full speed before turn 1, so I'm sure they were full throttle the whole time, but I definitely don't think that they were running their max speed coming out of the corner, so definitely could have saved them a little bit of damage with that being on the first lap after a start. But Don Blazer got most of his right front fixed. I can still see his tire poking out a little bit, but I mean, as long as he's not down on RPM, like I said, I think he'll be able to tuck into the draft and be mostly okay. So I'm not too terribly worried about Don here.
Well, I'm surprised at seeing Ronald Holmes. He got the worst out of it. He's missing his front end completely.
Oh man,
I just noticed that
on the main thing.
Yeah, I just noticed that myself. I see him on pit road. He's like, his front end is completely torn off. I'm not sure if this is related to the accident. Also, LeBlanc is 2 laps down. Kenny Heath is a lap down. So I think there might have been. I think LeBlanc might have got more damage than we suspected, and it could have been after. That might be LeBlanc and Holmes got together after the fact or something. I'm not sure. But that was definitely another component that we didn't see.
Ronald did a good job getting to the bottom to try to avoid the wreck, but just at the very end of it, Joshua Slade got into the left rear of Justin LeBlanc and sent him down the racetrack. Not Slade's fault, it's just everybody's wrecking. And LeBlanc cleaned out DJ Honeycutt and Ronald Holmes.
Oh, yeah, right there.
That was the second hit. He had actually already hit him once before then, so Ronald Holmes got a double dose of Justin LeBlanc on that one and the inside wall. So, very unfortunate for Ronald.
Found a little bit of that missing piece. We sure didn't see that initially. But it looks like we're getting ready to go back green here. Of course, David Holsey going to be leading us there once again as we get ready to exit turn number 4. Of course, the pace truck going to be taking a trip down pit lane. As here we go, set for the second restart of the night. Or of the day, I should say. I always so used to saying night. But here we go.
Got the 15 trucks.
Yeah, right. Green flag is back out in the air. What a start from David Holsey. Really gets a good launch. I don't know if I want to get a good launch at a track like this, though, considering how huge the draft is, especially in these trucks. I do believe we're going to see maybe Mark Royce or Stephen Knight draft their way up to David Holsey. Royce now charging up to second place.
This is a race I'm really interested to see how Mark Royce performs in. We've seen all year that Mark is a really good short-run style driver, and I feel like Michigan is an easier track to save tires at than others. Maybe I'm a little biased on that, but I think that this could be somewhere where he won't wear out his tires quite as bad, and we've just seen how fast he is at the beginning of runs at every single racetrack. So I'm interested to see, he's going to try to get this draft from David Holsey here. He might get a push from Stephen Knight, and we'll see if he can challenge for the lead pretty soon. I'm really interested in what Mark Royce can do tonight.
Yeah, it looks like they're single filed out for the top 3 for now. I say for now. But look at this. Jeff Weimer trying to charge up the bottom. Side by side, I do believe, with Bobby Mantle. I do believe Weimer's being pushed at the moment by Stephen Hayes. But watch out for those Lone Star guys. They have been very much a factor in every single race, have been in contention to win every time they hit the track.
Yeah, those Lone Star drivers are just, they're bad fast too, just about every time. I mean, we thought we were going to get one of the Hayes brothers winning at Richmond. They really dominated the first, I don't know, 70% of that race. And it took a crazy strategy call for them to get beat by David Holsey. I think Austin McGill ended up passing one of the Hayes, Michael Hayes, I believe, towards the end of the run for P2 anyway. So maybe they wouldn't have won the race off of pure merit anyway, but the strategy is really what kind of did them in towards the end. And they had won the race before that, where they finished 1-2, the 2 Hayes brothers. So the Whataburger car's coming through. I think he started he started P6, and he's already up to challenging for second place here, and they're all running down the leader.
Oh yeah, Stephen Hayes looks like he's got himself a bad fast ride right now as he is actually running down David Holsey side by side with Weimer right now. And he's running some really good lap times. I mean, looking at Stephen Hayes' last time lap, 40.4 or 40.016. That was the fastest lap, I do believe, of the race so far. Now, this doesn't surprise me though, because usually the leader is in that clean air, and he's not going to have, you know, that the draft to help him on the straightaway. So this is going to be, I think, a revolving door of lead changes for quite a while.
Yeah, if you're in the lead, you're really just kind of a sitting duck. I mean, it's been that way all week in C-Fix, C-Open, and in the A-Car. I just really think, you know, if a couple people line up behind you and then they just kind of sit your draft down one of these huge front stretch or back stretch, I mean, there's just not much you can really do as the leader. As we got a good, just about 3-wide battle coming back through the back of the pack. Two groups of 3 wide back to back. We got Dale Brooks stuck in the middle of the first one. Mark Royce is actually falling backwards all the way back to about P7 on the inside there, P8. I'm interested to see, maybe he got a little loose earlier and I missed it, but hate to see him go from second to, you know, just about to the outside of the top 10, but we got some good battle into the back of the pack.
Yeah, we do. Of course, Dale Brooks, he qualified, I do believe, up in P3. Unfortunately, had an EOL. He is now up to 6th place, being pushed at the moment by Daniel Ott. So definitely a lot of guys starting to move through this field. Of course, 3-wide scenario has dissolved. But Dale Brooks was, I do believe, the biggest winner out of that whole 3-wide scenario.
Yeah, you just really don't want to get stuck on that bottom lane. We've been seeing it in the A-Car all week. We saw it in NIS on Friday night. That bottom line, man, if they get that train working on your outside and you can't find a home whenever you pick up the bottom for a corner or two, then you're just going to go straight backwards. I think that's probably what we saw with Mark Royce. We saw Stephen Hayes try to go down there on Jeff Weimer whenever he had picked up a ton of spots, but I just don't think that the bottom is really the place to be. I think you really need to try to get your truck to another driver's outside, but it's just so difficult to do whenever you really don't have the power to kind of like make up the deficit, right? I feel like the A car, you can kind of throw the car into the corner a little bit more and have it turn, even if you've just completely blown the corner, right? You can get a little tight, but you'll still make the corner. In the truck, I just don't think it's really the case. If you overstep the boundary, you're just going to be tight for the rest of the corner. So it's just really hard to get to somebody else's outside.
Yeah, I mean, the Cup car, very much. You could, I mean, I know exactly. You have to lift, of course, you power off the corners. And this thing, you're just kind of flat out the whole time. And it really all comes down to how you're holding your wheel. You just have to be as completely smooth. You can't really make any mistakes at all. I mean, and if you do, you ruin the straightaway. I mean, these trucks are so momentum based, and you just have to be as straight as you can off of the corners. And I think that's what a lot of these drivers are attempting to do. You know, and arcing it. You know, and running that bottom line when you're down there, a lot of times you scrub speed, so you're not able to kind of straighten off the wheel on exit, right?
Yeah, you're scrubbing speed and you're scrubbing tires. I think the field is actually really, really lucky Austin McGill's not here today, because I'm thinking back to him running at New Hampshire, how he would just have a huge arc into the corner and would come off with the wheel just about perfectly straight coming off the corner and just being easy on the throttle. That's about the exact same way you're going to be saving tires here. Like, the people on the long run who save their tires like that are going to end up being way, way faster than everybody else. I do think it's easier to save tires here because it's so wide, you can just easily arc it, but still, if you catch yourself lacking, there's going to be some people that save better than you, and I don't know. I think David Holsey's doing a good job here. I don't think that he's really done anything too aggressive to kind of wear those tires out, but Stephen Hayes keeps dipping down to that bottom lane a little bit. He's making speed. He's super fast right now, but I would be a little bit worried that he's burning up his stuff a little bit going all the way down there.
Yeah, and I don't think he's actually going to be successfully able to make the pass with Jeff Weimer actually helping David Holsey right now. I mean, he's by himself. He needs somebody to help him, and I think maybe Dale Brooks can come up here and play that spoiler and maybe get that bottom line working. But, of course, they're just not going to be able to get the momentum on the exits like they need. And it looks like Brooks is saying, nope, I'm going to hang Stephen Hayes out to dry.
Oh, a little bit of door contact.
Yeah, that definitely could have went a lot worse. And I think that's going to take a little bit even of that momentum from Stephen Hayes, but he's able to keep the momentum going. And it looks like Brooks is going to take him 3 wide on the bottom. Whoa.
That's an aggressive move from
Dale
Dale
want
Brooks.
that. Hayes did not want that. He was trying to block that, but it did not work.
Hayes is just about able to find a hole, but I want to say Bobby Mandel's going to be able to get to his outside. Yep, he got to his outside to make it 3 wide. Dale Brooks is really going to be the one to kind of pay. Nope, they have to slide back in single file. The 2 outside cars do, but Dale Brooks is going to fall back, actually lose a spot after making that 3 wide move. I just, taking it 3 wide bottom, I like the aggression. I think it's fun to watch, but on a track like Michigan where everybody's just wrapping the outside, everybody's stuck in each other's trap, it's a very low percentage move, I feel like, even though Dale Brooks really caught the lead pack in a hurry there. So I know he's got the speed, but you go down there and it just scrubs off so much speed. And Stephen Hayes makes a great move to the outside of Jeff Weimer. That's what you got to do. You got to get to the guy in front of you's outside. You got to get to their right rear quarter panel. And it looks like Stephen Hayes is going to try to get to the outside of David Holsey coming for the lead.
Yeah, I love this. I mean, this is even something you see in the Cup car that you can do. I mean, not into 2 or into 1 you do it. I mean, usually it's out of 2 you do it in the Cup car, where you try to get that nose above them so you get the launch on exit. And here he goes. I mean, he's going to be able to do it here in 3 and 4 as well. I mean, this 13 is looking really quick, but he's really close to the wall.
He did a great job adapting because, like we saw, he was super fast. It's just he got up to the 2 liters and wasn't able to make the bottom work because they were just lined up, helping each other out. But as soon as he kind of split them up, he was able to get to Jeff Weimer's outside, and now he's to the outside of David Holsey. And I just don't think David Holsey has the defense here. Stephen Hayes has the preferred line, the preferred groove. The only thing David could really do is put him in the fence, but I don't think he's going to do that. And it looks like Bobby Mantle is going to follow Stephen Hayes through here also. But they are kind of grouping up into a pack. Jeff Weimer, as soon as I say that, goes back up to the outside. But it kind of looked like we were getting 2 lines forming, and I haven't really seen that too much this week. It's just kind of been little stragglers testing out the bottom while most of the pack is actually on the outside. But they're kind of forming up just a little bit, and on worn tires too, which kind of surprises me.
Yeah, I mean, of course, speaking of warm tires, we've fallen off about a second so far from, our fastest speeds. So a lot of these drivers are starting to struggle. We're going to start to see that separation on who's got the good setup and who, of course, doesn't. And it seems like the 13, definitely, they nailed it this week, it seems like. We'll have to see if that's going to continue to be the case. We were worried that they were burning their tires up, but I do believe Stephen Hayes definitely came in here prepared. I think that they kind of got a little bit of a wake-up call last week with the way that Austin McGill was able to pass them and of course, the off-the-wall strategies. As Bobby Mantle, though, really looking good as well in the 89. Loving what I'm seeing from the at-the-top Motorsports crew there.
Yeah, I like seeing that from Bobby Mantle because he had a really, really rough go of it last week. He actually kind of leaves the outside open back for David Holsey here. David's going to try to get one of the positions back, but Bobby Mantle's going for the lead. He's side by side with Stephen Hayes coming out of turn 2. I can't believe he got that run without any help, but I really think it's going to be for nothing because David Holsey's going to come back and hit Stephen Hayes in the rear bumper. And Stephen's been having a really good arc into turn 3 here. He's got somebody to his inside, so he can't quite use all the racetrack, but he's been doing a great job since he's gotten the lead. Having a huge arc into turn 3, but still getting his truck down to just about the seam that you need to run. So Stephen Hayes, I mean, he came from 6th down to the lead, 19 laps in, starting lap 20. I mean, Stephen Hayes is doing a great job.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, he's running a really good line. I mean, he definitely seems like he's very good at this racetrack. The way he was able to jump up above both second place and the leader and pass them both in the same way, essentially. I mean, that was a stroke of genius. And a little bit of contact there. Bobby Mantle kind of getting up into David Holsey. I think he was trying to maybe side draft it just a little bit too close. As it looks like Mantle, big slide job. Oh my goodness, Mantle. Oh my word. This could have went terribly, but it looks like Mantle able to realize he don't need to go up any further. He was not clear. That could have definitely ended up being a rough right there.
Yeah, because of that contact on the backstretch, he just had a really, really shallow entry into turn 3, and I think he entered with about the same amount of throttle as if he was single file. So he definitely got it just a little bit tight. Looked like he was trying to get David to back out at the end of the corner, but David kept his nose in there, and Bobby did a good job of giving him the room after it looked like he was crowding him a little bit. But I'm really interested with the whole pack. I mean, we've got still 12 cars in the main pack here. Everybody's doing a great job holding onto the draft. I thought that it would maybe break apart a little bit more, but the only people we've lost off the draft are people that were involved in that earlier accident who probably still have a little bit of damage. So, the pack's doing a great job keeping together here. David, even though he was leading, I've seen a lot of people burn up their stuff leading this week, but it doesn't really look like he's done that because he's been able to hold serve in second place as he gets really, really close down there with Bobby Mantle. But, I mean, heck, we got Stephen Knight in P5. Michael Hayes is kind of making a little bit of a charge on the inside of him for 5th place. He started P10, so maybe maybe he's trying to get up there to help his brother out a little bit. Stephen Hayes is just kind of on his own against a 5 Aces trucking David Holsey here, and I'm not exactly sure who Bobby Mantle's alliance with.
At the top, I do believe he's at the top Motorsports. That's who Bobby Mantle drives for. So Lone Star right now, I do believe is the ones being represented. You see Michael Hayes is coming. He is definitely coming. Jeff Weimer, of course, I do believe is Dirty South Motorsports. And of course, at the top as well, I do believe Stephen Knight as well as in the 79. So it looks like at the top Motorsports definitely came with a really good setup as well. I mean, I'm really impressed with all these drivers. It seems like no one really is better than anyone else. I'd say the best at the moment would probably have to be Lone Star.
Yeah, I think I'd agree just because we've seen Stephen Hayes come from 6 to the lead. And, he's been able to hold everybody off as soon as he took the lead, right? He did a great couple moves to get to the outside of a couple people, and he just made really, really smart, calculated moves. Hasn't worn up his stuff too much. He's starting to build out a little bit of a gap, but that draft's going to bring him back going down into turn 1. But he's doing a great job just, again, with that really, really wide entry. I think he actually got a little too tight there, but, his teammate and his brother, Michael Hayes, is making it work too, so I definitely think they've got a good piece under him for this week.
Yeah, for sure. A little bit of a slide job there for Mantle. Finally able to get clear of David Holsey. David Holsey's going to take it in the middle, 3 wide as Michael Hayes as well. On the bottom, 3 wide for second place. The battle is still on. This is definitely getting crazy. And these guys are on old tires, so they do not have the handling like they did earlier in this race to really be able to make 3 wide work.
Yeah, and that really hurt Michael Hayes there in the middle of the corner because he just randomly got stuck on the bottom 3 wide, and he just couldn't really release the wheel coming off the corner, killed his momentum just a bit, but he's done a good job being able to fight back up to the 3rd place spot here. I thought he was actually going to fall further back, but if he can throw it in deep enough to turn 3, it looks like the Lone Star trucks just have a really, really good long run set here today. They're able to keep it down there, keep it on the bottom, and hold serve with people even if they don't have any help.
Yeah, for sure. No, they look really, really impressive today. I mean, I'm just really, really impressed with what they're able to do. I mean, Stephen Hayes, even though he's in the lead and in the clean air, he's turning the fastest laps right now. I mean, the only person faster was, I do believe, E.J. Luna back in 11th place. So done a really good job from Stephen Hayes, and I think Michael Hayes is going to come up here and join him. I mean, that's what it's looking like right now. I mean, Michael right now is side by side with David Holsey for that 3rd position. He's been steadily working his way forward. Now Bobby Mantle trying to catch the tram. I mean, and I think Bobby's got a really good setup as well. I think that he seems like he's doing okay. But I do like what I'm seeing from Stephen. I know that it seems like wherever he goes, he can run wherever he needs to on the racetrack, and it doesn't seem like it's bothering him. Some of the other guys seem like they can't run low as well. And but it seems like that 13 can go wherever he needs to take it.
Yeah, and he was actually dipping down to the bottom, trying to give his brother a little bit of trap to get him past Bobby Mantle. I mean, we saw it at Pocono. Once the 2 Hayeses kind of get 1 and 2 at one of these bigger tracks, it's going to be really, really difficult to pass him back. But it looks like Michael might be able to find a home here up in P3, and we'll see if maybe he can make that same move that we saw Steven do on the 2 liters. But no, he actually dips it back down to the bottom of Bobby into turn 3. Bobby gets a little tight, but he's going to have a good run off the corner unless Michael slides his nose off, and he does. He squeezes in just last moment. Didn't look like Bobby had the greatest corner there. We've got both the Hayes brothers who are 1-2.
That we do, and like you said, you don't want to let these guys get 1-2 because they're going to stay that way for probably the rest of the race. Of course, we are getting closer and closer to a fuel window, though. As I mentioned before, you can make it about 35 laps. We did have 1 caution, so I would assume we could probably make it about 36 or 7. A little bit further because of the caution usually does allow you to save tires. But it looks like the Hayes brothers are not going to rest here. It looks like Michael says, I want the lead. I don't want my brother to lead. I mean, a little bit of brotherly competition. Do you blame him?
Well, I just didn't expect it on lap 28, but I mean, he just absolutely clears him going into the corner. Steven's going to cross him back over off of turn 4, though, and Michael Hayes is probably not going to lead the lap. Oh, it's going to be close to the line. I wish that was the last lap, but I think Stephen Hayes had him. No, Michael actually had it by 0.005 of a second. That's some good battling here from the 2 brothers. They're still side by side. It looks like Steven's going to slide him off coming off of turn 2. I just really didn't expect them to battle so hard. I thought they would keep maybe saving just a little bit, but you did mention we're getting down to the end of our fuel run, and Michael Hayes brings it back to the bottom of the inside of Steven here.
Yeah, these guys are acting like they're not on the same team right now, and I think it's just helping Bobby Mantle. Bobby's like, yeah, okay, y'all want to battle, I'll come in here and battle as well and take advantage of it. It looks like Michael Hayes takes the lead back, and I think Michael's been hasn't been having to fight as hard as Steven did to get up through the field. I mean, I think Michael has a little bit better tires. And one thing I always kind of say is the first 5 laps of a run are so important when it comes to the whole run. You know, they kind of impact the entire run. And I think Michael in the early goings of the race was taking it easy. Steven, on the other hand, was driving his way to the front. So I think that could be why Michael is a little bit better on tire right now.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. You know, like he did kind of get stuck on the bottom for more laps than I would care for if I was Michael. But, you know, to your point, he took a longer time to get up to the front, but I don't think it was like a skill issue. It wasn't anything like that. I mean, he still found his way to the front. It's just that he was saving tires, trying to get it down to this to this point where he could battle his brother for the lead with no challengers. Because even with them being side by side, Bobby Mantle's fallen off about a couple tenths, 2 or 3 tenths off their back bumpers. So it's kind of hard for anybody to stay with them right now. You know, they're doing a great job. They both must have saved their tires really well. And like you said, I think Michael did a great job saving.
100%. Of course, now it's lap 31. Fuel is ticking down. Strategy is definitely going to come into play here, I do believe. Because, I mean, of course, I think we'll probably split this race into thirds if we stay green. So I would assume at about lap 33, 35, 36, somewhere in that range is when we're going to start to see guys peel down pit road. Now, because everybody's still so close to one another, that's going to be kind of a dangerous thing, a dangerous process, if you will. And, of course, that a lot of times takes communication with one another. Well, that's going to be kind of difficult considering Global Racing Trucks. Oh, big hit on the wall from Bobby Mantle. Man, that was quite a sizable lick to the right side of that race car. But one thing about this series is that they do not have over radio communication. You cannot talk to one another over the radios. The only people that can talk to each other is teammates. And that is going to make it quite difficult, I'd say, for when it comes to trying to navigate your way down pit road and let everybody know what you're doing.
Yeah, it definitely could prove to be a challenge. I think the only thing that is kind of a saving grace about that is that the racing groove is not the bottom line here in Michigan. You really want to run that first seam. You don't want to actually go all the way down to the yellow line. So maybe whenever they're pitting, they can actually use that bottom lane, and it'll hopefully be obvious to the guys behind them that, hey, why is he down there? Why is he all the way down there whenever we're single file? Because you're just not supposed to be. It's not the fastest groove. So you see like Michael Hayes going down there right now. I don't actually think he's pitting. Maybe he's just listening to the broadcast trying to prove me wrong. But I really think that the bottom lane there, you see Mark Roy's back in the back. He just did exactly what I was talking about. He rode the bottom lane all the way through 3 and 4 and actually came into pit road. I think that's just kind of a good mediating, or it's just a good signal to the guys behind you like, hey, I'm pitting, man. I'm on the very, very bottom.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, like I said, I thought 33 to 34 was going to be when some guys, it was kind of going to all start the green flag pit stop process. So I think that they're just the first. We're going to see some more guys coming in here very soon. Some of the guys that are struggling, like a David Holsey, I think the Holsey is struggling. Mansell, of course, just hit the wall. Would not be surprised to see those guys coming down a little bit sooner than the rest of the drivers. Of course, Michael Hayes and Stephen Hayes, I would not be surprised to see them empty the tank because they're so fast right now. Just wouldn't shock me to see them try to empty the tank and just try to have the best tires later in the race. As I see Stephen Hayes, here he comes again. They're not done battling.
Man, if they would just get single file and go, I mean, they would just be pulling away from everybody. I mean, they have been single file pulling away, but goodness, man, if they just stayed tucked in with each other, I think that they would just push on by and not have anybody worry about for a while. But you know, on the main broadcast, the last couple laps, I've been seeing, I think the groove has been moving up a lot, and I really think that's mostly because of people maybe running their right front tire off a little bit too much at the beginning of this run. But it's just been a little bit more difficult for them to kind of get the truck down to the bottom, I think, later in this run as Stephen Hayes finally completes the pass on Michael. They actually did lose 2 tenths to Bobby Mantle on that lap because they were side by side, but Michael looks like he's dipping back down to the bottom. Neither one of these guys want to let the other one lead any of the laps. This is amazing. I know if I had my brother sitting in the room next to me, I'd be banging on the wall like, leave me alone, let me have the lead. But you know, they're battling really, really hard right before the pit stops.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they're battling on pit road. I mean, definitely. Though, I mean, I get it though. I mean, I understand the brotherly competition as we see Dirty South, Dale Brooks coming down pit road, along with, I do believe, Jeff Weimer and Ricky Hudgens. So the majority of the field is starting to come down pit road to take their stops here. And we'll see if anybody, this is going to be important. I mean, a track like this, if you mess up on pit road, that could be so costly. Whether that be getting a speeding penalty or an unsafe pit exit. It's very easy to get an unsafe pit exit at this racetrack. That's actually the most costly mistake you can make, is you'd have to come back down pit road and serve a penalty, and that's not, you don't want to have to do that.
Yeah, I've had my fair share of those. They always feel bad. You go all the way around that corner, you think you're all right. You think maybe you got a little too close, but then halfway down the back stretch, you just get that black flag popping up on your screen, and it's a complete race killer, unless you get a really, really lucky caution. As we see Michael Hayes try to get to the bottom of Dale Brooks as he comes out of the pits. I really think the Hayes brothers are probably going to be pitting here, if I had to bet, because that was a really hard showing to the bottom. Yeah, it looks like they're both coming down pit road. Lone Star guys. Bobby Mantle makes a little bit of contact for, I believe that was P3 back there, but then he peels off and comes to pit road for his pit stop. I think he slowed down a little bit early. He thought the first yellow line was the pit cone, so I think that him and Stephen Knight might have lost a little bit of time to the Hayes brothers there, but this is just about the rest of our lead pack coming down in the pit.
That's right, DJ Honeycutt as well in there. So I think that it's about everybody except for Joshua Slade. He's the only one. Oh, Michael Hayes, big mistake, misses his pit box. Still is not in his box yet. That is going to be a ton of time that he is going to lose.
Yeah, it was like 7 or 8 seconds right there.
I think the 79 as well had the same issue. So yeah, that's going to be the 79 of Stephen Knight and Michael Hayes, both I do believe missing their box. Going to be paying just a huge price for that mistake.
Yeah, Michael ended up coming in ahead of his teammate there of Stephen Hayes, and he left his pit box 6 seconds later. So that's a really, really frustrating mistake. Same with, like you said, with Stephen Knight. Watching them both right now just to make sure they don't also compound that issue by getting the yellow line problem, but it looks like they're both going to make it to the blue cone A-OK, no problems. But once Joshua Slade comes in for his pit stop, it looks like Stephen Hayes is going to have the lead by about half a second over Bobby Mantle.
Now, of course, we do have a different leader now, or net leader. That being Dale Brooks. Him with the strategy, I think he was actually able to jump out in front. Spent 14.7 seconds in his box. I mean, definitely really good play. Or should I say 14.3 seconds in his box. 38.7 on pit lane. A really awesome stop from Dale Brooks. And I do believe that is what has given him the lead. Of course, he's got about a second gap on David Halsey at the moment. Of course, Stephen Hayes, who we saw was one of the last guys to bid, he's about a half a second back from Halsey. Of course, I do believe Hayes is going to probably be able to draft his way up to Halsey and possibly battle for that second place position. But I don't know. We'll have to see how it works with Dale Brooks. I think these guys are just on the back of his draft.
Yeah, I think Stephen Hayes has 2 lap pressure tires than the leader and 3 lap pressure tires than David Halsey in second. So I do think that he'll eventually run them down, but it kind of throws a little bit of wrench into the strategy because, if they can hold that draft with Stephen Hayes even after he gets with them, then, I mean, they could kind of pull the same little short pit strategy again coming to the end of this race, and you just really never know at that point, if they can just hold on to the lead. I think that there's a little bit of different strategy that you can play in these kind of long green flag runs, even if it doesn't kind of come down to tire limit, tire strategy, or fuel mileage. There's still a couple little things you can do with the short pitting or long pitting to kind of even the competition. So a really good call there from Dale Brooks to come in a little bit early, and he did great on pit road like you mentioned.
100%. Let's do a quick rundown of the top 10 right quick, and then we'll take a quick commercial break. Dale Brooks up in the lead at the moment. David Halsey, of course, sitting in that second place position. Stephen Hayes in third place. Bobby Mantle's in fourth. EJ Luna sitting in the 5th place position. 6th place, Ricky Hudgens. 7th, Daniel Ott. 8th place, DJ Honeycutt. 9th place, Stephen Knight. And 10th, Jeff Weimer. With that, we'll go ahead and take a brief step away and pay some attention to our sponsors. We appreciate everybody tuning in to GridVision. We'll see you in a moment.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to GridVision. Definitely exciting to be here at Michigan International Speedway. As, of course, my name is Brian Britt. I have Austin Edstrom as my co-commentator. Austin Darbyshire down behind the cameras. The race has definitely tightened up since we left it last. Of course, Stephen Hayes is back up to the lead again, as he has actually gotten by Dale Brooks. Of course, David Halsey is in that third spot. So it looks like the top three only separated by about a half a second. As I do believe you see Don Blazer, he's trying to work his way up to maybe get his lap back here.
Yeah, I'm a little worried if I'm the rest of the field. Stephen Hayes picked his way through the field. His only competition made a big pit road error, and now he's taking the lead after just about, I don't know, 8 to 10 laps since his pit stop. If I'm the rest of the field, I'm hoping and praying somebody can just stay in his draft, keep it competitive. But I really think as soon as Stephen Hayes breaks this draft off of Dale Brooks and David Halsey, he's just going to keep flying away, man.
No, I think you're right. I mean, and looking at lap times, I mean, Stephen Hayes, 40.492. Well, last time by, actually, it kind of just tracked where Dale Brooks was a little bit quicker. So I think now that Brooks is in the draft, if he can just stay right here, then I think he's going to be in good shape. And Dale Brooks always is one that is always tinkering on the race truck. So I suspect that we'll see him really making adjustments as well as this race goes on. So, you know, he's always one that I see making little tweaks on that truck and just trying to keep up with it. And so if we have another stop, I would not be surprised to see Brooks trying to make that truck even better.
Yeah, he just really needs to do his best to stay with Stephen Hayes for another 15, 16 laps so that he can get into his fuel window and still short pit him again for the end of this run. But I don't know, Stephen Hayes just looks so fast, even with Dale Brooks in his tire tracks. You know, we saw coming out of turn 2, Dale kind of slid his front tires. He kind of does the same thing there. He's getting to the throttle really heavy, trying to get as good of a run out of turn 2 as he can so he can get that good draft down the back. But he's definitely sliding those front tires across the racetrack just a little bit, while Stephen Hayes is just kind of holding a more steady wheel coming off the corner. A little bit of that is because Dale's got a couple lap older tires, so he has to push them to stay with them. But I mean, Stephen Hayes has proven that he might just be the class of the field here today.
Yeah, 100%. He's definitely had the dominant truck. I mean, for sure. I mean, especially the first half of this race, it has been pretty much ruled by Stephen Hayes in a lot of regards. So I suspect that he's definitely got a very good truck here. I mean, I'm just shocked to see how quick these guys are. But then again, I'm not shocked. I mean, Lone Star have been really impressive all season long. I mean, they have definitely shown that I think that they are, at the moment, possibly the top team arguably 5 aces, probably tied with them for top team. But I think this race definitely, the banner is going to be up on the wall that Lone Star definitely looked like they had the truck to beat here. That's for sure. As we see, of course, Bobby Mantle catches up quickly to David Holsey at the top. Motorsports looking really, really good as well tonight. I got to give them credit where credit is due. Those blue bumpers looking really good today.
Yeah, it's been a great bounce back race for Bobby Mantle. We saw him get in the wall just a little bit earlier, but it wasn't like too heavy or anything. No damage to that truck that I can tell. But he's been making a good steady charge towards the front. We saw him running comfortably in that 3rd position towards the end of the first stint. And he only got jumped by 2 guys who short-pitted him by a little bit. So we'll see if he can get past David Holsey as he's all over his back bumper coming through turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, definitely getting really close to the bumper, almost bump drafting Holsey out of the corner. EJ Luna as well, looking incredibly fast right now. Only a couple hundredths behind Mantle. So I think this is why we see Mantle really putting pressure on Holsey, because I mean he's got EJ Luna as well right there behind him.
Oh, he just couldn't get clear coming off the corner. David's able to get back to his outside, but that was a really creepy camera angle. But
I don't know how our cameras able to phase through things like that. Man, we got some magic cameras.
Yeah, that was a little interesting, but I think Bobby's going to be able to slide him here coming off at turn 4. He's got completely clear, and he's going to have his sights set on Dale Brooks, who has just kind of lost that draft from Stephen Hayes. Like I said, once the tires are kind of, I don't know, once they start wearing a little bit, especially with him having 2 or 3 lap older tires than the leader here, it's just going to be so difficult for him to keep up. Even though I think he might have the pace if they were on even tires, I think he would be able to keep up with him pretty good. It's just them being a little bit older, and they're going to be 2 laps older the entire run, and Stephen Hayes looked like he was the fastest anyway at the beginning. It's just going to be so hard for any of these guys to keep up with him now that Michael had that issue on pit road.
Yeah, I mean, he's not having anybody really battling him. I mean, that was kind of what was hurting Stephen earlier, was when Michael was kind of battling him that whole, end of that last stint. So that's definitely going to be good for Stephen to be able to just kind of focus on pulling away, just focus on his line, hitting his marks. But one thing about a track like this, though, I've always found is that when you don't have someone right near you, it's a lot harder to actually hit your marks, in my opinion. I mean, this track does not have a lot of reference points, and it's the lines are very weird, the way you kind of take them here. I mean, this Michigan is a track that it's not it's not cut and dry on how you're supposed to run this track. And if you're by yourself on the racetrack, at least if you had someone in front of you, you could at least judge yourself off what they're doing. You can't do that here when you're by yourself. And I think that Stephen, of course, though he is very talented and very experienced, I don't think he's going to have that problem. But it is something to keep in mind, and he could get that white line fever as well.
So I do kind of like what you were mentioning there. It is a little bit more difficult of a racetrack in terms of like finding your marks, but there's a couple things that I really think you can do as a driver if your truck is just kind of acting in a way that you don't really like, that you can do to kind of change that. And I think if you look at Michael Hayes, a lot of the times in turn 3 and 4, he might be a little tight. So what he's doing is he's getting a pretty decent arc down into the corner, and he's kind of straddling that seam on the bottom, and it's a little off banked on the very, very bottom, and he did it just before we got the camera onto him there, but he just straddles those left side tires onto that bottom lane, and it helps the car rotate just a little bit. Sometimes it'll make you a little bit too loose. There's a little bump down there that kept catching me out in the A car this week, and it would just kind of kick my car a little bit sideways, so you just kind of got to watch out for that bump. But if you're feeling a little bit tight, you can kind of do that in either of these corners, and the back end of your truck will just start rotating a little bit better, and I think it's a good way to kind of get some speed out of your truck whenever maybe you don't think that it's quite there. And Michael Hayes has proven that it's working pretty good, because he was about 8 seconds behind his teammate of Stephen Hayes a couple laps ago, and he's cut that down to about 7.2. So he is gaining ever so slightly, but it's going to be hard to make up the rest of that time over one more green flag pit stop and another 40 laps.
Oh no, he's definitely going to require a caution or something like that. But I mean, it doesn't seem like that's going to be. I mean, everybody's kind of really spread out at the moment, and so it's going to be difficult for that to be the case. I mean, I think hopefully we get to see us, pit strategy kind of unfold in this race. But I might have just said too much, considering I know last week it was pretty rough, where every time you said something about a caution, that's when that came out. So don't say anything. I can say it. It's okay though for me to say.
So I can't say anything about their wrecking or anything like that? No wrecking, no accidents, no cautions?
No, I'm just playing.
Unless we want it, right? Unless we want it.
Yeah, if you want it, you go for it, brother.
I want to see Stephen Hayes come back to the pack, so I'm just going to start talking about Stephen Hayes spinning out from the lead. I think it would put on a show for us. But I also like seeing that Whataburger car up front. I love me some Whataburger. I had it again last night for Stephen. Last time I had Whataburger the day before, he won at Pocono. So I think we're seeing about the same day. I don't know.
Tradition here, it sounds like.
It is. Every time I eat Whataburger on a Saturday night, Sunday morning, Stephen Hayes comes and makes the field. So this is kind of interesting. I think I'm seeing a couple trends here.
It's definitely interesting. EJ Luna now really close to the back bumper of Dale Brooks, going to be trying to work his way up into the top 3. I tell you, this has been a really good day for the 24. And I do believe he is another one of the Lone Star guys. So no wonder, I mean, these Lone Star guys just came in here really prepared. For sure to send a message, it does appear. Of course, Dale Brooks not quite letting EJ go. If EJ can get that bumper above the 32, I think he'd have a lot better of a time. Because I mean, I know we saw Steven earlier. Just seems like these Lone Star trucks are capable of getting. If they get that nose above you, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, it's a great shout. We saw Stephen Hayes do it to a couple of people earlier, being able to pass for the lead. And then we saw just the Hayes brothers battling for the the top spot there for a long time, and they just kept swapping it back and forth. And I don't know. I feel like if we could get another challenger up to the front, we would have a pretty good battle for this. But I mean, Michael Hayes is actually cutting into that lead a little bit. He cut another 2/10 off there. I still don't think he's going to have enough time unless he just has an absolutely amazing pit sequence. But I mean, he's still reeling them in just a little bit, lap by lap.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely is. I mean, last time we looked at it, it was about 7 seconds that he had to get up to Stephen Hayes. Now it's about 6.2. And, you know, he was about 2/10 faster than Stephen Hayes last time by. Of course, Stephen Hayes is by himself. There is no, he doesn't have really any draft help right now. He's separated by now 2 seconds on second place. Now, this is something you do not see a lot of at a track like Michigan, where a driver is able to actually separate themselves from the draft. One thing I'm noticing, though, is we're seeing a little bit of speed come back to Dale Brooks. This is kind of an interesting thing that's happening right now. Brooks, last time by, was faster than the leader, and he's now challenging Bobby Mantle for that second place position again. So Mantle, I think Brooks has gotten some speed back in that truck. I'm wondering if maybe he was saving that entire time to kind of just make sure that he was on an even playing field.
Yeah, I definitely think he's found a little something, and I still think that he could benefit from doing that short pit again. I mean, we saw there was, about a second of fall off on the last run, maybe just a little bit more. You know, big short pit, Steven by another couple laps this time, he very well could jump him again, and, you know, if you can get out there and have the lead without having the second place car in your draft, you never really know. You could do a good job saving your tires and be able to compete with them. Oh, they get side by side, just a little bit of contact. Bobby Mantle on the outside, Dale Brooks on the inside. Just, it's pretty innocent contact, no harm, no foul, but Dale is going to have to fall back to about 4th place after that.
Yeah, he definitely is. That's going to also give the position to EJ Luna, now up to 3rd place. As we take a look back at this incident, I do believe Dale Brooks just getting a little bit tight. Yep, getting a little bit tight on the exit of turn 2. Luckily, that wasn't as bad as it could have been. Because I know EJ Luna was thinking about taking him 3 wide, it seemed like. And if he had done that, I think we would have been definitely having a caution instead of it staying green.
Yeah, everybody did a good job keeping that straight. So nothing too bad. But Dale Brooks, he's got some speed, man. I didn't expect him to kind of get a speed boost after falling off the pack just a little bit there on the through that run, but he's doing a great job. He's just kind of picking his way back up. I know that he had that little moment. Now it looks like he's getting passed from the inside of David Holsey. I believe that's it's David Holsey in the 5 Aces Racing Machine. But you know, he kind of picked up some speed towards the end of this run. I just think maybe that little bit of contact might have put him off just a little bit. He's trying to regroup and regather.
Also, Michael Hayes, I do believe, just made a pass on Ricky Hudgens for the 6th place position.
Michael Hayes is moving.
Yeah, Michael Hayes is definitely moving. He's fastest on the track right now with a 41.246, which is faster than everybody by multiple tenths. So he is definitely on the way forward. Of course, he's being pushed right now by Ricky Hudgens. And I think if DJ Honeycutt got up there as well, maybe got to the bumper, I think we might be able to see something happen there. But definitely he is the fastest on the racetrack. He has just been really cutting into that lead more and more, but Still 6 seconds. I mean, that's a long way away, and he's going to really need to, like you said, nail the pit stops. David Holsey, though, is starting to show some significant speed right now as he is on all over the rear end of the 24 of EJ Luna. Bobby Mantle, kind of a sit and duck at the moment.
So I've got to be honest for Michael Hayes, maybe he's listening to the broadcast so he can take some of this, but coming to pit road at a track like Michigan, this is one of those rare tracks where you can make up a lot of time. You know, a lot of people are pretty conservative getting into the actual pit road on pit entry, right? I really think that you can brake pretty late here. You know, you can get just about down to the flat before you're really pressing all the way on the brakes. You just got to make sure you don't lock them up and go straight to the grass. But there's potential to make up a second, 2 seconds on anybody coming down pit road. And I mean, he's slowly chipped away at this lead this entire run. If he pits on the same lap as Steven, we've seen that Michael is just a little bit faster than Steven here tonight, especially on the long run. So if he can really charge that pit entrance, I think Michael Hayes isn't completely out of this race yet.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, he could definitely, if he gains a second or two on pit entry, and that could be big. I mean, he has to continue to do what he's doing. I mean, but the last time by, he was slower than the leader. So it looks like Stephen Hayes, because he's all by himself, I think that's allowing him to save tire in a lot of ways as well. Of course, last time by, Ricky Hudgens was the fastest car on the track. As we look a little bit further back, or we see the battling still on. Looks like we got a green flag stop there from Daniel Ott. There is still battling going on. Of course, EJ Luna still trying to battle with Bobby Mantle. Daniel Ott, I do believe, just got passed by Joshua Slade. Or should I say Joshua Slade and Jeff Weimer were just battling. But still the battling on. This is where the battle is really taking place, is second, third, fourth, and fifth. So do suspect this is going to continue, as I do believe we just had someone peel off down pit road.
Dale Brooks down on pit road for his last scheduled stop of the night, unless, you know, a caution comes out. I think everybody will pit again, but you know, last scheduled green flag stop. Going to get 4 tires of fuel, fill that thing all the way up, and he'll be good to go. This is that short pit we were talking about, though, but he might just be a little bit too far to make it work on Steven. I'm not too sure. I don't think Steven's going to stay out 3, 4, 5 laps here longer. It might be 2 or 3 just so he has the newer tires, but I don't think he's going to stay out long enough to make that really work for Dale here, but we'll see. I think Michael Hayes is staying out another lap, and I believe Stephen Hayes stayed out again too. So, but a couple more people do come down pit road. That's EJ Luna and David Holsey coming down for their last scheduled stop, as Stephen Hayes is still cruising out front.
Yeah, I like this decision from EJ and David Holsey. EJ is looking really quick. I think he's definitely got a top 3 race car. Wouldn't that be something to see? I wish Michael Hayes had not made that mistake, because I think Lone Star could have had a 1, 2, 3 here. I think that they definitely kind of bungled that with Michael's mistake, because EJ, Steven, and Michael have been the class of the field, I'd say, speed-wise. Of course, Mantle definitely been representing definitely in the top 5, but, you know, as we're now 69 laps into this thing, coming up to 70. About to be 30 laps to go. Here comes Michael Hayes coming down pit road along with Ricky Hudgens and DJ Honeycutt. Stephen Hayes still out on the racetrack.
Yeah, Steven just had a big enough lead to where he can really just wait, and put on way newer tires than everybody else and just kind of float away from the field. You know, it's kind of a boring strategy from the point of the booth, but, you know, whenever I'm in the lead and I have this same kind of situation, I do the exact same thing. You just want to have those newer tires on at the very end, and he did a great job building the lead to where, you know, he could kind of do that, right? You know, he's going to pit a lap after his lead. Oh, man, he got a little loose coming into pit road. I thought he was about to throw it away. But he makes it no problem. Just a little bit of squirreliness coming down to pit road, but he's about to put on some new tires, so it's not like that little scrubbing really does any damage. But that does shift the lead over to Bobby Mantle for the time being.
I mean, like you were saying, though, I mean, you try to gain as much as you can onto pit road, and I think he definitely was very aggressive getting to pit road. And, you know, risk versus reward. I do believe he shouldn't have gotten a penalty there for speeding or anything like that. Should be perfectly fine. But Bobby Mantle, like you said, now up to the point. Now, if caution or something comes out now, this definitely would change the complexion of this race here. As we're now, like I said, about 30 laps to go here. I think Mantle's now coming to pit road. Stephen Knight going to go to the point. And I do believe in this series as well that you do get points for leading a lap. So I think a lot of these drivers are trying to take advantage of that simple fact.
Yeah, just a smart little play to be able to get a lap led, be able to get some extra points. I really miss that in real life NASCAR. I think that's great. I love the leading laps for points. But once it all cycles through, Stephen Hayes, even with Dale Brooks doing that undercut where he could pick up some time, he's still about 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds back off of Stephen Hayes. And with Stephen being on the newer tires, I expect him to start pulling away even more in a little while. So I think this is really just Stephen Hayes' race to lose at this point. I think maybe we could see somebody like Michael get up there to challenge for a 2nd or a 3rd place spot, because I think he's got newer tires than Dale and EJ and David. But I just don't see him challenging Steven, especially now that Steven has a lap fresher tires than Michael.
No, yeah, 100%. Stephen Hayes is definitely going to be rocking it as well. He's going to have a pretty sizable lead, I'd say, by the time the checkered flag waves. But that just depends. I mean, a lot of times in these kind of races, you see guys start to get desperate, and you know what that usually desperation leads to, that dreaded caution. So we definitely don't want to see that, but it's definitely a distinct possibility that could very well happen. And I hate to say it, a lot of guys are going to be mad at me for it, but I wouldn't mind seeing these guys all get lined back up again.
Oh my goodness. You told me I couldn't say anything about that, so I'm not going to say anything about it. Because it'll happen if I say something. But I don't know, there's not really any too crazy side-by-side battles going on right now from what I can see through the field. Everybody's just a little spread out except for Michael Hayes and Bobby Mann. It looks like they might have a little bit of a race going on through turns 3 and 4 right now. But I don't know. I mean, Michael has... Actually, that gap has kind of extended to Steven a little bit more, especially now that he's side-by-side with Bobby. So I don't think that he's got really any chance to find his way back onto the podium places. It's going to be tough for him to make these passes on the bottom, and then, you know, he's only got about 27 laps to go, and there's still a 2 or 3 second gap to the guys in front of him. So it's gonna be tough for Michael to find a podium out of this after that early mistake. But you know, we saw again the speed from the Lone Star group. It's actually kind of like really impressive for them to have this speed on a 2-mile racetrack.
Oh yeah, I mean they came here, I think really didn't want to give any wins up. I mean I think they felt like they gave that up last week, and I think that they came here with redemption in mind. Like I said, to send a message that, hey guys, you know, we're not playing around. We got the speed. You know, 3 talented drivers they have there with Stephen Hayes, you know, Michael Hayes, EJ Luna. We haven't really seen EJ have necessarily the best finishes, but I think today is going to be a top 5, maybe even top 3 day for EJ. I mean, I do suspect. So, I mean, I think that they're really sending a message here today. I mean, they've been doing it all season long. I think Michael or Steven are clear championship caliber drivers, I'd say, and wouldn't be surprised to see at the end of this season that one of those Lone Star guys hoisting that championship trophy as we come to now 25 laps to go. Of course, Joshua Slade is out front right now, but by about 10 seconds, of course, he is on an alternate strategy. He is about 1 second slower than what is going to be our net leader, Stephen Hayes. Of course, Stephen Hayes, and I do believe, Stephen Hayes is out front. He's a little bit quicker by about a few hundredths than Dale Brooks. While we have a little bit of I'd say a lull in the action, let's take a quick commercial break, our final commercial break of the day, and we'll be right back with the conclusion of the Global Racing Truck Series race at Michigan.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to GridVision. Of course, my name is Brian Britt. I have Austin Edstrom as my co-commentator here today. Of course, Austin Derbyshire down behind the cameras doing an amazing job. Of course, at the moment, Stephen Hayes is at the top of the board. He's got about a second lead over Dale Brooks. Of course, David Holsey sitting in the third spot. EJ Luna at the moment is in fourth place. Bobby Mantle sits in fifth. Michael Hayes in sixth. DJ Honeycutt's in seventh. Stephen Knight's in eighth. Ricky Hudgens is in ninth. Of course, 10th, Daniel Ott. So that is a look from top to bottom of the top 10. Of course, Stephen Hayes, this is his race to lose. As I mentioned, he's got about a second lead on Dale Brooks. Has been looking quite quick. Of course, last time by, though, Brooks was a little bit quicker than him. So there is still a possibility. Maybe Dale Brooks has been making adjustments. I talked about that before, that he is always really good at making adjustments to his race car. But I do believe we're seeing also a battle developing between Bobby Mantle and Michael Hayes. That is for the 5th position. Mantle trying to hold on as he's got about a 10th behind him. The one of Michael Hayes, who has been desperate ever since he made a mistake on pit road. Of course, looking at lap times, they are two of the fastest cars on the racetrack at the moment, as we're now coming to 18 laps to go. And what a race we have seen thus far. It's actually been quite calm. We've only had one wreck based on an accident. Of course, that actually involved Justin LeBlanc and Don Blazer. Also, Ronald Holmes got involved in that wreck. Kenny Heath, I do believe, possibly. I don't know, Kenny Heath might have gotten in a separate wreck. But Ronald Holmes, Justin LeBlanc, and Don Blazer all impacted by that wreck. Blazer is now 2 laps down as a result. Definitely a lot of drivers have been struggling as well here tonight. I know Mark Royce being one that has struggled quite substantially. I was kind of hoping that that 50 machine would be able to make something happen tonight, but unfortunately not the case, as it looks like Stephen Hayes has started to drive away. We're going to take a look at a replay here. I do believe this is actually the original crash that we saw on lap 1, mind you. As you see right here, I do believe we're going to be looking at Justin LeBlanc. I think it was a little bit further back.
Unfortunately, our producers, he's like a C-tier producer, so it just kind of happens like that sometimes. But
don't say that. He's a good.
Well, I think I'm a C-tier broadcaster because I think everybody heard my toilet a couple laps ago. But it'd be like we're all making mistakes. It happens. Anyway,
I'm leaving.
No, this is a great time. We're having a great time with 17 laps to go. Stephen Hayes starting to pull out a little bit of a lead. As we finally get the replay set up this time, let's hope and pray that it's actually, oh my God, we saw some pit road stuff. I don't know what that was, but.
Take a look, here we go. We see Don Blazer, of course. Him and, right there, that's where the whole kind of contact happened. And that's where we see Kenny Heath, I do believe as well, get some issues. Ronald Holmes with major front end damage. This was on lap number 1, mind you. Ever since then, though, the race has been completely clean and green, which is very shocking to say the least. You do see a battle starting to unfold for third. I know that that has not been the case in a open competition, and I'd say even in official competition in the C Opens as well, that it stays completely green. I mean, a lot of times, especially at a track like this, it is just hectic and just wrecks left and right. But I mean, the global racing guys a lot of times have very, very clean races.
Yeah, the officials have been really, really annoying this week. There've been a lot of cautions, little give, all take, but it's just been really frustrating. But the Global Racing Truck League here tonight has put on a good show, keeping it nice, clean, and green, and having a good green flag run to the end, except for that very beginning.
Yeah, and we've even managed to see some green flag stops, 2 of them to be exact, which is something you don't get to see a lot, at tracks like Michigan. So glad to see that for sure, as we still see these battles progressing. I mean, we see BJ Luna and still trying to catch up to the back end of David Holsey. He's about a 10th faster last time by. Also, Bobby Mantle showing a really good running speed right now. Those guys have caught up very close to the back end of EJ Luna as well, and David Holsey. So I do suspect we could see this top 5 or top 6 change around a little bit here.
Yeah, everything from third on back looks like it could kind of get shaken up. You know, I mean, David Holsey's doing a good job holding on to that P3 for now, but EJ Luna's right on his tail, and we've seen Michael Hayes and Bobby Mantle just kind of work together to kind of get back up to the main pack. They've actually cut the lead down to 3.5 seconds. I just think they're going to run out of time. I don't think they're going to be able to get to Steven, but they may be able to challenge for Dale Brooks. He's starting to fall off just a little bit off of Stephen Hayes, but it really just depends on how much the people for third to sixth just kind of battle. As we see a battle for fifth right here as Michael Hayes finally gets to the outside of Bobby Mantle. He's going to try to make the move work around the outside of turns 1 and 2. If he can hold that quarter panel coming off the corner, I think he's going to have the move done. And it does look like he's going to get there. He's going to keep that spot. And he's going to get the draft all the way down the backstretch.
Yeah, definitely a great job to Michael Hayes. Has been showing us such good pace, and just coming back from such a terrible mistake on pit road. You know, missing his box. He spent like 5 seconds or 10 seconds trying to even get in his box. That's not even counting the time he spent in the actual box itself, actually getting the race car service. And you know, he's made up so much time. You know, I'm shocked. I mean, we saw earlier Austin where he had 7-8 seconds, you know, a deficit because of that mistake on pit road, and he's now down to only, you know, 3 seconds behind the leader. That is that's impressive. I tell you, that is very impressive. Michael Hayes is going to be definitely proud of the recovery that he has been managed to do here today.
So I think you're right that he's going to be proud of his recovery, but in all seriousness, if I'm in his shoes, and we talked to him last week after the Richmond race, you know, he finished third in that race, but it looked like he probably should have won, and he was pretty dejected, even though third is still a good spot. I think he's going to feel pretty similar here today. If he gets a top 3, and we talked to him in the post-race interviews, I think he's going to feel pretty similar. I think he's going to think, dude, I had the fastest truck. I had the car to win. The driver was absolutely on it everywhere except for on pit road. So I think that he's going to feel more dejected than proud, if I'm being honest with you. Like, yeah, he has the speed. I think he's probably the fastest out here today, but, you know, just that one big mistake. Last week it was not being on the right strategy. This week it's making an error on pit road. I think he's going to be more upset with himself than he's going to be proud of himself.
Well, I mean, definitely has possibly still enough time that he could. He's side by side right now with third place. So we're probably gonna a little contact here with Holsey. He's gonna send Holsey up the track. David Holsey probably not gonna be too happy about that. Bobby Mantle tries to take advantage of it. This is also Dale Brooks is gonna get challenged as well here, I do believe, very soon. Michael Hayes is probably gonna be banging on the back door there of Dale Brooks. So even though he had the speed to win this race, if he works his way up into second place, a 1-2 finish, going from making that crucial mistake, I gotta say, I mean, hats off if he's able to do that. I agree. I mean, this guy, Michael Hayes, he wants to win. That's all he wants to do. But I think a lot of these mistakes he makes are just, they're good for him and his skill or his career. I mean, because a lot of times you don't get better if you're not making mistakes. In a lot of ways, I think he's going to have opportunities to you know, learn from these mistakes. Next time he comes to this racetrack or any race in general, he's going to be like, I remember that mistake I made on pit road. I can't let that happen again.
That's a good point, and I think it actually might be 3 races in a row, right? Before Richmond, we had Pocono, right? Where he absolutely dominated the race, but then got passed on the last lap by his brother. I mean, he might think that this is 3 races in a row that he should have won, and he's going to walk away with none of the wins if this thing runs green. I mean, it's incredible how much pace that he's been showing. I mean, I think that the first couple races that I called in the league, I don't really think that he was challenging for the win. He wasn't really challenging for the top 3 spots.
There goes Mantle.
He'll get sideways. He's going to be way off the track. I don't think the caution's going to come out for that. He's so far to the inside. Gets into the inside wall. No caution on the racetrack. Just
man.
Oh,
yeah, there it is. Yellow flag is out. You know, that is surprising. I mean, I've seen that actually in the opens. The officials, for some reason at Michigan, down there on the apron on the backstretch, some reason it causes cautions, even though it shouldn't. So
I think it's whenever he reversed, and obviously he didn't reverse all the way out to the racetrack, but he reversed up about half the way, or maybe not even half, like a third of the way up.
Yeah, I mean, it should not have caused a caution. This should not have been a caution. But now this is going to cause possibly, you know, a 2 or 3, 4, maybe 4 lap shootout. This is going to change the entire complexity of this race. This, I hate to say it, I kind of, as a broadcaster, I love this. This is great. This is awesome. But as a Stephen Hayes, I'm not happy. As a Stephen Hayes, I am very dejected. I'm very upset. As a Michael Hayes, this is the best thing that could have happened.
I was about to say there's two people that are licking their chops about this, and that's Dale Brooks and Michael Hayes. Because Dale Brooks showed that he's got some actually really good speed, especially on the early run. I just think that he didn't necessarily have the track position at the beginning because he had that EOL. You know, that's the thing. Dale Brooks had an EOL, and he's climbed all the way up to second just with a little bit of short pitting and whatnot. So he's never really been on those even tires, Stephen Hayes, from the beginning of the run. So I'm interested to see if Dale can stay with Stephen and actually make a charge for it at the end. And we've seen how good Michael Hayes has been. So I was talking about maybe he'll be dejected for 3 weeks in a row, but he's got the opportunity here to change his fate.
100%. I was just looking through the cockpit there, Bobby Mantle. I want to look myself at this again, but I think he was just getting loose. Yeah, he just got loose. I thought something looked a little weird about that, but yeah, no, he just got loose and was trying to overcorrect it. That's unfortunate.
Oof. EJ Luna has a really good pit stop. He actually ends up coming out third. It's going to hurt Michael Hayes. I really think that bottom line is the line to be in with the leader being down there, and Michael Hayes, it looks like it's going to have to settle for the top. So kind of stinks for him, but I don't know. This is going to be a crazy finish. I think it kind of spread out there after a while, and we didn't really know exactly if anybody could get up there to challenge Steven, and it didn't look like it was going to happen. But now it's it doesn't matter how far ahead you were of everybody else from earlier. It doesn't matter how few of mistakes you made, because now everybody's breathing on your back bumper. So yeah, like you mentioned, if I'm Stephen Hayes, I am so frustrated. I mean, Bobby Mantle was so far off the racetrack. I cannot believe that brought out a caution.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, that's shocking. Any other race that would have not brought a caution out, any track. I mean, if you're down there below that yellow line, that does not usually bring out a caution on iRacing. But for some reason, here at Michigan this week, it has been happening. So I don't know what the reasoning is, but you know, maybe iRacing's tinkering with something. It might be a bug. I'm not quite sure. It's not something that I can explain right now, but I know that the result is the caution did come out, and you know, Stephen Hayes, he's on the hot seat right now. He if that caution did not have come out, he would have sailed away to a win easily. No one had anything for him. He was gone. But now there's a chance that he doesn't finish in the top 3.
Yeah, I think you might be right. He might not finish in the top 3, because I think just about everybody's going to gang up on him except for Michael. But even then, if Michael gets, you know, clear of everybody else and they're running 1-2, we saw earlier, even on lap 30, he was willing to throw his truck to the inside of Steven. So I don't know. I think it's every man for himself at this point. And you know, that the way the draft works, you never know if second and third get lined up and second gets a good push down the backstretch past the leader. You never know how they're going to come out of turn 4. I don't know if I'm Stephen Hayes. I'm freaking out right now.
Because I guarantee you, everybody behind Steven, or Steven included, no one's lifting. This is going to be just straight up foot to the floor. Wherever I go. That's what's going to happen. I mean, this is going to be nuts. We're going to see some 3 wide. I mean, if you wanted a climactic finish, that's what this is going to be. A climactic finish. And there goes the pace car down pit road, as we're going to have a 4-lap shootout. And Stephen Hayes takes the green flag. Pretty good launch there for Hayes. I don't know if I'd want to have a very good launch, considering these guys are going to be just foot to the floor trying to draft up to you. EJ Luna, though, really good start for him. He's going to have the advantage right now, as Dale Brooks, watch out for the 32. David Halsey jumps up in front of Michael Hayes. He's going to try to see if he possibly can't help Dale Brooks. A little bit of an alliance going on right here between Dirty South and, I do believe, 5 Aces. As Stephen Hayes trying to hold on to the lead. We come to 3 laps to go. Dale Brooks getting the run on the high side with the aid of David Halsey. He is going to lead that lap.
Stephen Hayes left the outside open going into turn 3. He didn't block off the run, and that's going to let Dale Brooks just kind of take the lead. And I don't think Stephen Hayes is going to have anything for him down the backstretch. Michael Hayes is side by side for about 5th or 6th place, so he's going backwards. Oh, they're turned.
Oh, big
He's
problem.
into the left rear of Stephen Knight, and there's a big wreck in the back of the pack.
And that is going to give Dale Brooks the lead. Of course, we are now in green-white checkered territory. Michael Hayes, Knight could not get worse, as he has just been involved in a crash with Stephen Knight. And you can just see the frustration. As we take a look back at this accident here, you see Stephen Knight's in the middle, 3 wide for a moment there. It gets a little bit tight. Oh, and there it is. Maybe we could take a different camera angle. Kind of couldn't see exactly what happened, but I do believe Stephen Knight came up into Michael Hayes there on the backstretch. And there we go, a little bit of choppy camera here.
They kind of met in the middle a little bit. It looked like Michael might have gotten just a little bit loose. He comes down a little bit, Stephen comes up a little bit, and they just kind of meet in the middle. It's hard to put 100% blame on either guy because I mean, it's just late in the run or late in the race. Everybody's trying to take every bit they can. Stephen definitely left room for Michael on the outside. He didn't leave a lot, but he definitely left some, and Michael was completely even with that seam there on the top, just about, and he kind of cuts left coming off the corner, but I mean, it does kind of shallow up a little bit towards the wall, so I don't know. It's hard for me to put any blame on both drivers. It just looks like it's 2 guys going for the same bit of real estate. And there's a little bit of netcode there too, to be honest with you. Whenever I'm looking at the far chase, they weren't completely together. We've been seeing a lot of netcode issues this week with everybody side drafting so hard at Michigan. So I really think that's kind of what we saw there. It wasn't an aggressive netcode, but they definitely didn't completely hit each other.
Yeah, it's definitely unfortunate. 100%. Looking at Justin Locke's cockpit cameras, he came up like a rocket ship and hit, I do believe, Stephen Knight after the fact here. Right there, boom! That was quite a lick there. His front bumper just fell off. Isn't that funny how that happens?
Well, and I think we saw in that last restart, you might not want to be in first place. You might be a sitting duck on these restarts in first place. Stephen Hayes left the outside open, and Dale Brooks just rotated all the way around the outside. And, you know, the guy that won last week and he won the pole today, David Holsey, it looked like he was falling through the field to about 5th or 6th where he was going to finish. And all of a sudden, he's in P2 with a chance to win this race. I mean, we could see a back-to-back win for David Holsey.
That would definitely be something for sure. But I mean, I think Dale might have saw what happened with Stephen and maybe try to do something different. Maybe to try to jump up there as soon as he can to try to dictate that top line. And we'll see. And Stephen Hayes, you know that he's seeing red right now. He's going to be on the bottom line behind David or Dale. So he's going to probably be gunning it as soon as he can and probably pushing Dale Brooks with everything he possibly can. I don't know. I can't predict who is going to win this race. It still is up in the air here. I guarantee you we're going to have ourselves a green-white checkered. And it's going to be crazy. It's going to be wild. Do we make the white flag is going to be truly the question. Justin LeBlanc, it looks like he is outside of the race car. Now, of course, he was already multiple laps down, so it's unfortunate to see that his race goes from bad to worse. Of course, Don Blazer just did get his wave around. He is now 1 lap down. Michael Hayes, I do believe, was fixing some damage. He is now, I do believe, back up on the racetrack. He is still on the lead lap. Dale Brooks going to try to see if he can't maybe secure the win. I know the last several races we've seen Dirty South very much struggle with the speed of their race cars. It looks like they have corrected that today. Very much look like they have a fast car underneath them. Can he put it all together and possibly win this race? That would be, I think, a big turnaround for a driver like Dale Brooks, considering usually with Brooks last season and the first parts of this season, every race this driver jumps in, usually he was a winning truck. Has not been the case here lately. Can he do it today?
Looking forward to this restart. We got a nice little green-white checkered here. Anybody's race, even EJ Luna up here in 4th place. DJ Honeycutt in 6th. He was in that early accident. I mean, it's anybody in the top 6's race here, and heck, we can see somebody from even further back winning if we get some kind of crazy accident on the last lap. We're gonna see maybe some hurt feelings, some bent fenders here coming up, taking the green flag.
That's right. I mean, you never know at a track like Michigan, especially if the white flag's out and they wreck. You know, we're going to finish this race no matter what, and whoever comes up and crosses that start-finish line first is going to be the winner. As Dale Brooks enters the Geico restart zone, green flag is out for a green-white checkered attempt. It's a really good start there for Brooks. I think he's going to possibly jump up in front of David Holsey. He's actually going to sail right down to the bottom. Oh, Stephen Hayes gets into David Holsey as they're 3 wide. E.J. Luna's in the middle.
Dale Brooks is just going to pull away.
Yeah, very much so. Ricky Hudgens as well up to second right now, as they are still 3 wide. David Holsey just got kind of shunked it on out of the way, as E.J. Luna is going to see if he can't possibly get up to second. Still 3 wide. These guys are battling so hard, but Dale Brooks is going to take the white flag.
E.J. Luna's got a huge push from Stephen Hayes going into turn 1. They got a big draft from Dale Brooks. They could get a run down the backstretch if they don't get side by side. They're wrecking in the back. That's Mark Royce. That's DJ Honeycutt. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Stephen Hayes is on the outside for P2. He might have a push here too from, I believe that's Bobby Mantle behind him. E.J. Luna's looking to the inside, trying to get to the inside of Dale Brooks. Stephen Hayes is trying to get to the outside, entering turn 3.
This is going to be a really close battle. Oh, Stephen Hayes turns to 32 as E.J. Luna. Can he hold him off? E.J. Luna is going to win this race.
Oh my goodness,
wow.
What a finish. What a save by Dale Brooks also, by the way. He was like 90 degrees sideways and somehow held onto that freaking truck. That's incredible. E.J. Luna did a great job. Oh, Dale Brooks is not happy.
He is not happy. He's coming up quick, and here we go. There it is.
Yeah.
Oh, Dale Brooks not very happy with Stephen Hayes. We were almost 4 wide. We were 4 wide there for a moment. See that first initial incident. Of course, here's Stephen Hayes coming up to the back end of the 32. Dale Brooks, of course, did throw a little bit of a block, and I think that is probably why Hayes just did not lift. You see right there, a little bit of a touch, and then Hayes comes up and just tags the back bumper and gradually turns the 32 around. Of course, the 32 with Dale Brooks not very happy, but E.J. Luna, your winner here. What a race for him. I mean, had a top 3 finish. I think he definitely had the top 3 car, but he ended up bringing home the victory. I mean, still a win for Lone Star, as he's going to do a big burnout.
Yeah, if I'm Dale Brooks, I'm definitely a little upset with that. I mean, that's really unfortunate for Dale. It looked like he might have had the race won. Him and EJ were probably going to be side by side coming off that corner, but I think Steven was just a little frustrated because he had the race won before that caution, but he just kind of got onto Dale Brooks's back bumper a little too hard in the middle of the corner, and it just didn't work out for anybody there except for EJ Luna. EJ Luna comes through as the big winner, so congratulations to him in that 24 group.
100%. And of course, that brings us to the conclusion of our Martin Sports winning moment. Of course, Martin Sports is a family-owned apparel company in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. They've been open for a decade and have proved to be the best provider of custom apparel for everyone. Your local sports team, business, special events, family reunion, I mean, they could do it all. Even if you want a jersey for sim racing, maybe even custom hats. If you're a sim racing team that wants a custom hat, they definitely can help you out. Of course, they also have, I do believe, sim racing gloves. I have a pair of those myself, and very great gloves. They actually breathe very easily, very grippy as well, and that's the most important thing is the grip. If you want to look into some of their products and maybe get some custom apparel or some gloves, visit martinsports906.com today to get started and get in contact with them. With that, we're going to go ahead and run through the final results here. That will be EJ Luna bringing home the victory. Ricky Hudgens is going to fall into that second place position. Good race for him. We didn't talk about him a lot tonight, but he is going to get that second place position. Of course, Stephen Hayes, the dominator of the race, unfortunately only finishes in third. Bobby Mantle in fourth place. Fifth place, David Holsey. Sixth place, Jeff Weimer. Seventh, Joshua Slade. Eighth, Dale Brooks. Ninth, Michael Hayes. And 10th, Stephen Knight. Of course, 11th place, Mark Royce. 12th place, DJ Honeycutt. 13th place, Daniel Ott. 14th place, Don Blazier. 15th, Justin LeBlanc. 16th, Ronald Holmes. 17th, Kenny Heath. And, of course, with that, we'll go ahead and get right on into our interviews. And just one moment, we'll get everything set up. And, of course, we'll be starting off with Stephen Hayes. All righty, we got him here in the booth. Stephen Hayes, great job tonight. Led the majority of the race. I mean, you were just a dominant force here. I mean, you would have won this thing by several seconds possibly there if it had continued green, which most of the race did continue green. How are you feeling? I'm sure you're a little bit disappointed considering how it could have ended versus how it did end.
Yeah, it seems like a couple of these races, this is how it's finished. We're going strong on a green flag finish or a green flag run in first, and then all of a sudden this caution comes out. It's just gets annoying after a while, but I fought back, got a third place finish. These restarts and short runs aren't my thing, but glad at least I got a top 3.
Yeah, definitely for sure, and you got to be happy that your teammate EJ Luna gets a victory there. So either way, a win for Lone Star. You guys have definitely been, I'd say, arguably the top team this season. So I mean, are you at least celebrating the team win?
Oh, for sure. I mean, with EJ, he's a good buddy, so I'm super happy for him to win his first race here, and that's a good job battling up there on that restart. But yeah, he got the job done. That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And I think he had a top 3 race car. So you guys actually came with unloaded with a really group of 3 fast trucks. I mean, you and Michael, y'all were battling pretty much that whole first stint. Of course, he made a mistake on pit road. But he is still, even if that caution hadn't came out, I think he would have battled his way up to possibly finishing 1-2 with you. I think if it had kept going the way it did. How did y'all prepare for this race? I mean, it seemed like y'all just unloaded really quick.
Yeah, it's just same in, same out every week. Just a lot of practices and official, find the lines, doing the setups if need be. But yeah, just a lot of practice and running together and just trying to help each other out.
Well, definitely great job to you. Of course, next week, I do believe we're going to be heading to IRP, which is a short track Lucas Oil Raceway. How you feel about that place?
You never know how those ones go. Could either be a wreck fest or a good, clean, hard battle of a race. But we'll see what happens when we get there, but I'll definitely put my time in practicing for that one.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a tough racetrack where I think we're going to see a lot of short track tempers flare. But thanks for your time, Stephen. Who could we shout out before we let you go?
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Dale. I mean, I know we were battling hard there, and it was the last corner moment. I was full throttle. I mean, I'm still sorry for getting into his rear end and spinning him, but I didn't want to let up there. EJ on the win, congrats to him, huge shout out, glad for him. Rest of the Lone Star guys sticking it out and, having some fun while I do these races.
All right, well, thanks for your time, Stephen. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Brian.
All righty, we got Ricky Hudgens going to be joining us up here in the booth. We didn't talk a whole lot about you tonight, Ricky, to be honest with you. I mean, you were kind of not really in the top 5 or top 10 as much as you could have been. But I'll tell you what, you showed up when it counted. You definitely got that second place. Seemed like y'all had a really fast truck. Walk us through, why you weren't kind of closer to the front. Usually these tracks, I think, Ricky, kind of suit you more than other tracks.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. The way our luck has been the past 4 races, setup-wise, we haven't really brought, top-tier competing trucks to the track, past few races. And I didn't want to take my chances. Throughout the week, I heard y'all say on the broadcast, these official races have been treacherous. Coming off of 2, people getting tight, overcorrecting, hitting the car inside. That's what I didn't want to be a part of, like the next to last caution was. So I'm just trying to take my time, by my time. I messed up in the pits, so that cost me about like 6 seconds. But all in all, I was praying for that last caution, and it came out at the perfect time.
Yeah, it definitely did. It gave you kind of a revival in a lot of ways to your chances here, and you could have possibly even won with the way that finish kind of went. I mean, EJ kind of fell on his lap. It could have easily fallen in your lap, but I mean, you definitely got yourself a really, really good finish here. Ricky. I mean, I know you guys, like I said, I've even said that at Dirty South, the last few weeks have not been up to the pace that you guys, I say, necessarily to deserve. Because I mean, I don't know what's been going on, but hopefully this is that turnaround that you guys need. I mean, what y'all been doing to kind of turn that around?
Well, for me, I bought a new sim rig, so since day one of hooking it up and getting new monitors, new wheel, and everything, I haven't been quite acclimated to it. So it's been a struggle to get used to everything, the force feedback and all that. Dell, he's been working a lot, so this week was the first week that we all actually got on and was able to practice together. So I think the team chemistry is still there. We're not on the practicing side that we need to be on. And I feel like going forward, especially because we're close to the playoffs, and we need to make that run early in the playoffs to make it to the end, and at least have one, maybe two of our guys in the Final Four.
Yeah, and you could very well be one of those guys, just considering, I mean, you've been incredibly consistent this season. I mean, I think this is one of your most consistent seasons we've seen from you. I mean, the top fives and top tens have just been coming left and right for you. Of course, next week we're going to IRP. That's going to be a difficult track. I mean, that is a very unique short track. How do you feel about it? Do you have any experience with it?
I'm going to be quite honest with you. I'm not a big short track person. I think 2 seasons ago, we raced at Martinsville. I think you guys were broadcasting it then too. I bought that track the day of the race, and for some reason I did very well in it. So I'm debating whether or not to practice throughout the week, because on short tracks, if I practice, I tend to not do good in the league race. So we'll see what happens. Maybe the team can get together and get a good setup, and we can start putting Dirty South up in the top 10 again, where we belong.
That's right. Well, thanks for your time, Ricky. Congratulations on the second place finish. Who can we shout out tonight?
First of all, I want to shout out my wife for putting up with me, allowing me to do what I do. Dirty South, of course, Global, and you guys for putting on a great show week in and week out. And we really appreciate it. You guys, there's some enthusiasm in there, even when we have these long green flag runs. You guys have something to talk about. There's no pausing in there, so I really appreciate that.
All right. Thanks, Ricky. We'll see you next week.
Appreciate it. Have a good one.
All right. That was Ricky Hudson's, our second place finisher. Next up is EJ Luna. I do believe, EJ, this is your first win in Global Racing Truck Series. Is that correct?
That is correct, Brian. Thank you.
Man, how about that? I mean, and you definitely had speed. I'd say you had top 3 speed. You, Michael Hayes, and Stephen Hayes, the Lone Star guys. I mean, you guys were really fast today. I mean, it just seemed like y'all's trucks just never let up. They had long run speed, and short run speed. I mean, how did y'all have fuel wise in that thing? Y'all must have been putting jet fuel in those trucks.
It sure seemed that way. We were pretty strong throughout that green flag run throughout the race. I felt like we were keeping pace with everybody else. Steven got off to a good lead, and then that final cycle came around. He came out of the lead, and that caution that came out of nowhere, I'm not sure who it was, but that honestly set up for a crazy finish, and it put me in a perfect spot at the end, and we came out with the win.
Yeah, you definitely did. Awesome to see it. I mean, and it was a wild and crazy finish. I mean, anybody really could have got the win at the end there, but you kind of found yourself with a clean truck, because I know there was some quite a bit of controversy and stuff like that of people getting hit and stuff like that. But I mean, you were able to kind of pick the lines right, made the right decisions. You could have just finished in the top 3, but no, you won the race. And a lot of times when you get these wins, you start to get more of them. And with the way that the Lone Star crew has been providing you with really good setups, and the way y'all have worked together, the team chemistry, I suspect you might get more wins, you're coming your way. A lot of times, like I said, when you get a win, that first win, a lot of times the flood, you kind of break that flood barrier and the flood just starts rushing in. Do you feel like this is going to do a lot for your confidence?
Yeah, I really hope so. These Lone Star trucks are strong week in and week out, and these guys behind me always giving us not the tricks away, but just giving them tips and what we got to do right here and there on the runs, and it usually prevails. So we'll just keep it on.
Now, of course, next week we're going to be at a short track IRP. Now, much different racetrack than Michigan. This is a 2-mile track. That track, I do believe, is about a half a mile. We'll have to see how that kind of all plays out. I mean, that's more of a top lane dominant type track as well. How do you fare at short tracks usually?
Short tracks are not my strong suit, and it'll probably be my first time there, so kind of excited to find out what it's about. We'll try to do our best, though.
That's a difficult track. I'm telling you, it's a top. You pretty much run the wall around that place, and it's a lot like any other short track, where most of the time to make a pass, you got to bump somebody out of the way.
That's
But,
usually fun.
Oh yeah, we'll see how that kind of goes. Of course, definitely looking forward to seeing how this win affects the rest of your career. EJ, who can we shout out after your win here today?
Hey, I want to shout out to all my teammates, the Hayes brothers, LeBlanc, DJ Honeycutt, Jeremy, my family. They support me all, like week in and week out. I always share the link of the broadcast. I want to thank you guys first and foremost for putting this on. And yeah, thanks everybody for watching.
All right, well, thank you, EJ, for putting on a good show for us. We'll see you next week, and congratulations. Hopefully, I'm sure the rest of the day, your day is just going to be sunshine and rainbows because you just won a race.
Hey, thanks a lot, Brian.
All righty, EJ. All right, that was EJ Luna, our winner here today. I do believe he led only the last lap. I do believe that was the only lap he led here today, but that's the one that matters the most. He gets the victory. And, of course, usually I'd be deferring to my broadcasting partner to see how what he thought of the race, his final thoughts, but it looks like that is not going to happen. We do appreciate Austin Edstrom for helping me out today. He's always such a pleasure to have in the broadcast booth. Let's take a quick look at the schedule for the rest of the week to come. As, of course, definitely some excitement on the docket here. I do believe Monday we have nothing really going on, but we could change that if you'd like to have your league called. Of course, Tuesday, Champion Power Equipment Truck Series is going to be at Kansas Speedway. Now, that's going to be a fun track, a lot like Michigan. Of course, you run towards the top of the wall there, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So definitely tune in for that. Wednesday, we're going to be at Darlington in the Thunderclap iRacing Series presented by TLC Incorporated at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, Thursday, don't have really anything going on, so if you'd like to have your league covered, definitely reach out to us for sure. And, of course, Friday, me and Austin Edstrom is going to be back in action there in an NIS competition at Indianapolis, the road course. So that's going to be definitely interesting to see. That has been an exciting series to cover. That'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Saturdays, of course, we do have free at the moment. I do believe in a couple weeks we're going to be going having the major series coming back. Of course, Sunday, we're going to be at IRP, as we mentioned, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. With that, of course, I do appreciate everybody out there tuning in. My name is Brian Britt. Of course, Austin Edstrom has been the co-commentator. I do want to give him another shout-out. Austin Darbyshire has done a fantastic job behind the cameras. So shout-out as well to the ownership of GridVision. Couldn't do it without those guys. Couldn't do it without all the guys out there on the racetrack and all the leagues that trust us. This has been GridVision. We'll see you next time.